Hey everybody, I'm Big Will, and this is I'm just going to put a number out there. I think it's number 13, I'm not sure. Turnaround time update. And I, I advertised on IG that I was going to do the new CBCS stuff, and I decided, you know what, I'll just make it a turnaround time video and do CBCS, but also CGC, because they've been getting a lot faster on their grading and everything as well. Now, is it any count or are they just fast? That I will leave up to you. But I did want to start talking about all this stuff here. So if anyone is interested in joining me, and I kind of know you, the link's in the chat there. But let's begin with CGC, because that's the most familiar to everyone and it'll be the quickest thing to run through. So as you're looking on CGC, we have the modern books are currently running at 20 days. And that's been 20 days for a while now. And I can tell you from experience, they're getting them out in less than 20 days. Are they being as accurate? I'm not so sure about that because of something I recently got back myself. But they're definitely hitting their mark on their turnaround time for 20 days. And if you really want it, you can spend more money and get it back in 10 days. Economy's doing pretty good at 38 days. It was for the longest over 100, and now it's 38. That's really good. And of course, we have the standard that's been fast for a while now. It's 10 days, then 5 days for expressed, and they're touting 3 days for walkthrough. I don't really have any books valuable enough to go walk through, so I can't speak from experience there. But that sums up CGC. Now, one thing we also want to make a note of is the max value. Because when we compare after we look at CBCS, that's going to matter, and the cost itself. So we got a max value of 400 on both modern and economy. And then the cost per book is $24 for modern and $35 for economy. Now your standard is up to $1,000 in value, and it's going to cost you $80. Express is up to $3,000 in value, and that's going to cost you $130. And then if you do walkthrough, that'll be 3% of whatever the value is estimated. And they also make sure that you're going to pay $150 no matter what. You may pay more than that, but you'll never pay less than $150 for the walkthrough, because there's no limit on value, and it's their fastest tier because of that. So that is CGC. Now, as we move on from CGC, we're going to move to CBCS. So let me share the CBCS screen that I have. I got to take one off to show the other. So excuse me for a moment here as we bring up CBCS. Okay, now CBCS, much better presentation, I think, personally, as far as just how the website is looking with it. I think they did a good job there. Here, they are doing it a little differently. You have new books. These are books that are 2001 to now. So anything that falls within that range, you have 3 different options of turnaround time. You can do it in 30 days, 20 days, or 10 days. And they have a max declared value of 1,000, 4,000, or 7,000. And for the $1,000, you have all 3 options, 22, 32, and 40. And then for the next highest value, you have $45 for 20 days and $60 for 10 days. They don't even do a 30-day option. And the max value there of $7,000, they don't give you but one express day option. And it's $80, and you'll get it back in 10 days. Now, they also have a regular modern tier. That's 1975 to 2000. And those are for 1,000, 4,000, 7,000. The max values are the same for each block. And then we have 3 options, 30, 20, and 10 days. costing each $24, $34, or $40 to get those done. And then if you move up to the $4,000 in value, you have two options, $45 and $60. And then for the max value of $7,000, you have $80 as your only option for 10 days. Then we move to vintage. This is pre-1975. We got a 20-day. This is a faster group here. We have 20-day, 15-day, and 10-day. And for each of those, up to $1,000 in value, you're going to pay $40, $50, and $60. $4,000 in value, you're going to go $70 or $100. $7,000 in value, you have only the 10-day option at $140. Then we move on. They have raw books. We don't have to worry about that. And this is their version of walkthrough. Any year, any value, give them $200 and they'll knock it out in 5 days. So it doesn't really matter what the value is. There's no percentage. They're just going to do a flat fee for you. And there's some other stuff that we could show down here. And there's other pages like pressing and such, but we're only focusing on grading. So what I'd like to do now is just go through and we do a little experiment here. I am going to do a brand new book, a Copper Age book, and we'll say a very valuable Silver Age book. And we want it done as cheap as possible and as fast as possible. So let's see here which place, assuming all these turnaround times for both of them are relatively right, what is it going to cost us? So for CGC, let's have a brand new book. It come out last week. It's its value is let's say it's $1,000 in value. Okay, well then I can't even do it under modern. Doesn't even matter if it was older than 1975. With CGC, I can't even do that for economy simply because of the value of the book. So what's my option? Well, I have to go standard. That's the $1,000 value. That's going to cost me $80 and 10 days. Now, let's say I have $1,000 value, brand new book, and I go to CBCS. Well, I actually can get it done in half the time if I spend, or actually the same amount of time if I spend the same amount of money. Their max declared value of $7,000 is $80. Or I could get it back in 30 days for $22. I can actually use the standard tier for the lowest declared value for CBCS. I would have to use the standard tier at CGC. I can use the new tier for CBCS. So it would only cost me $22 at CBCS, or it would cost me $80 at CGC. Now, again, that's assuming these turnaround times are right. And oh, hey, Daymares. Hey, feel free to join if you'd like. The link's in the chat. What does Daymares say? But how accurate are those turnaround times for CBCS? Those are date brackets, but do they guarantee that time frame? CGC turnaround time is updated pretty frequently. Yeah, I was just mentioning that. If you would look at the vintage on CGC, their economy, they have really improved that turnaround time. In the last month, I've seen it go from like over 100 days down. Now, as far as your other questions, I don't believe that CBCS guarantees all the turnaround times. They do, however, guarantee all express times, or you'll get your money back. So, for example, in that book that come out last week that we are imagining that's worth $1,000 already, if you paid half the amount that you would pay for the standard tier at CGC, that would put you in the express tier for CBCS, $40, and you would get it back in 10 days, the same amount of time, and that's guaranteed. So if it takes 11 days or more, not only will they do your book, get it back to you, but you'll be refunded your $40 because that is the express tier. Now, granted, if your book is not worth $1,000, if it's worth $400 or less, then it really just depends on whose case do you like better, because the price and the turnaround times are very, very close, assuming they're accurate. So at that point, it's just whose case do you like better, and you just go from there. You're on your own. So now let's look and imagine we have a Copper Age book from 1980, or better yet, let's say we have a Wolverine #1 from 1982, and it's a 9.9. So it's worth like $3,000 or something like that. We'll say $3,500. Well, again, for CGC, if it's worth $3,500, you have to use the express tier. Now, you'll get it back in 5 days, so woohoo! But it's going to cost you $130. So, I mean, what do you want to do? Because CBCS, we're going to have to go down now to our modern tier, which is 1975 to 2000. So that book would fit in there, but it would have to go in the max value declared of $4,000, because I said, let's pretend it's $3,500. Well, at that point, your cheapest option is $45 for 20 days. That is 4 times as long to get your book back. Well, how about twice as long? You're not okay waiting 20 days, but if you're waiting 5 at one, you're okay waiting at 10 for the other. Well, that's going to cost you $60. But that's still less than half the price of the economy tier that CGC offers. So again, it depends. You're going to have to look at cost versus value versus, whose do you like better? It depends. Now let's look at if we have, hey, Kenneth, now let's look and say we have a AF-15 that's worth probably $40,000. Now let's look up that. Now that automatically, we all know that's going to go in the most expensive and fastest tier at either company. So let's take a look at that. We got a value of $40,000 for CGC. So we're going to have a walkthrough tier then at that point. And it says here on the website, $150 minimum, and it's going to be 3% of fair market value. So if I put in my financial calculator here, 40,000, 3% of $40,000 is $1,200, and you're going to get it back in 3 days. Now, here's where I think CBCS really shines. I think they're shining, assuming these are accurate times. I keep having to repeat that because these are new for CBCS. So hopefully they're accurate. But in vintage books, I think that's where they're shining. Because if we look at CBCS, go past vintage into their in a year category, which is any declared value, you'll get it back in 5 days. So one was 3, one is 5, so only 2 more days. So that's not even really a difference. But instead of paying $1,200, they do a flat fee at CBCS. It's going to cost you $200 to slab that AF-15 that we're saying is good enough condition. It's worth $40,000. That is enough of a difference. I would think you're crazy to not go CBCS for that one. All the others, there are differences. To me, they might be major, but you can talk me into either one. Let's see. How many books are fitting in these brackets? Very few, if any, Wolverine 1 9.9s and 1,000 brand new books. Yeah, I know that, Damers, but I'm just saying that if we have to do that there's a difference in declared value. I'm just making sure everyone looks at declared value as well as the turnaround time, as well as the cost. Most books are going to be, if you get them slabbed and they're 9.8 and they came out Wednesday, they're probably going to be $100 in value or less. So at that point, well, I mean, why are you slabbing it? But if it's going to be a lot less value than that, then for CGC, a modern book, you're going to get it back in 20 days and it's going to cost you $24. That same book, if you want to go CBCS, you're going to get it back in 30 days and it's going to cost you $22. So 22 versus 24, that's a negligible difference. 30 versus 20, that's a negligible difference. So at that point, I would say, whose case do you like better? You know, but if you do get the value of over 400, that's when you really got to start thinking about it, because that's where you can put the book starts to change. But for most people, it's going to be, with the way they're doing pricing, very little difference. I think the lowered books that fall in walkthrough would make sense to go CBCS, but I think you will get the extra 1K on grading fees on that 40 in a CGC case. Perhaps, I'm not sure. I mean, with the AF15 example, I don't know about that, but with a lot of others that are not as popular, you might be right. But I think that is really the fault of the sellers. They complain that CBCS sells for less, but yet they sell CBCS for less. Now, if it's an auction, then the market's going to decide, and if they don't want to pay as much for CBCS as they do a CGC, well, that's just going to happen. There's no way you can do that. But if it's set pricing, like at a show or buy it now on eBay, or you just have it on Instagram, well, then you should price it the same, because there really should be no difference. Both are excellent companies. So that's kind of on you. But some people need to sell, and they just need to sell. I understand. So we got a road to go, but it's not a great, big, huge difference as far as percentage goes. But if you're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars in value for a single book, it's going to be hundreds and thousands of dollars difference, but percentage-wise, not much. So for the most part, I really don't care whichever one you want to go with. As for me, I'll tell you from my own experience, especially recently with CGC, I think they're going too fast. I think they need to slow down. And because of the pricing not being that different, and as long as these turnaround times stay relatively where they're at and are accurate for CBCS, I like their case so much better. I'm going to go CBCS, and depending on what I pay for the book and the cost of grading determines what my price is, but I use GPA and everything else, so I don't really make a difference in the fact that it's CBCS, because, I mean, why would I? But that's just me. But anyway, that is your update. So let me run through it again real quick for anyone that's watching now. I'm going to go through the CGC and CBCS, but I already have the CBCS on my share screen, so let me put it up first. So CBCS, we have the modern tier, we have the new tier, which is 2001 to present. You have 30 days, 20 days, or 10 days that you can choose from, and you see the prices for each. They change with declared value, and you can read the declared value there yourself. And this is, you can rewind this once it goes on to YouTube if you need to relook at this, or go to their website yourself. Modern 75 to 2000, you have the same thing, 3 options and different prices versus the declared value. There is your vintage pre-1975, a little bit faster on this one, 2015 and 10 days. And same on the pricing. It depends on the declared value. They give you multiple options. We won't worry about raw books. They do raw grading, which is weird to me. And then, of course, any year, any declared value, you get it back in 5 days. It's a flat $200 fee. Now, let me take this off, and we will look at CGC and go through that. So we're going to stop that screen, and let me share for CGC. We'll go through it one time, and then we'll call it done for the video. Okay, here we go. CGC, we got modern, at 75 to present, max value 400. You're going to have a $25 fee on that. And then you have 20 days, excuse me, a $24 fee on that. And that's going to take 20 days. They actually are doing it. A lot of people are saying it's even less time, but they have 20 days on the website. And obviously, Fast Track makes things go faster. Economy, same max value. It's $35, 38 days currently. Standard, $1,000. It's $80 as far as the cost, and they'll do it in 10 days. And then Express, $3,000 value, $130 for your price, 5 days. And the walkthrough is an unlimited value, a minimum of $150 up to sky's the limit, but it's 3%. And they get that back to you in 3 days. So that is it. Raw makes sense to me for on-site. To get a company's idea of the grade to catch something you didn't. Yeah, it just depends on the value of the book versus the value of what you'd have to pay for that raw grade. Raw, the cheapest one they have is 30 days, and that's $12. That's for new and modern, and then it's $18 for vintage. But if you're at a show and you want them to do a raw grade and they're actually there, the price isn't going to change that much if they are offering to do that. So yeah, if the book's worth enough, okay, I can see where you would want to do that. But that is it, folks. I appreciate everyone watching. This is number 13 of the turnaround time updates. And I will soon have a book at actually 4 books at CBCS, so I can tell you if they're actually doing these turnaround times or not. I'm going to be sending some stuff to really test them out, and because I'm mad at CGC again for stuff they did, but that's just me. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate you. And I guess we'll see you later. I don't know when later is going to be, but I'll do another video at some point. And on Sundays, not this Sunday, I don't believe, but on Sundays, I do D&D on JP Budget Collecting's channel. And other than that, just keep an eye out. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate it.